Hello everyone, welcome to my second dev vlog. In this one I'm going to talk to you about how I've set up GitLab CI with my Banterbus project, which again, we're using so in my previous video, we went over how we were using Nix to create these development environments, and I wanted, part of the reason was that we would have like a similar setup in our local environment and our CI environment, and I'm going to talk to you about how I did that. So really quickly, if we go to like our flake.nix file, we can see we have a bunch of these packages here. These are packages we want to make available, and most of these are going to be used in CI as well in some capacity. And then we've got this flake.lock file, which was locking our dependencies to make sure anyone developing on this project would get like the same dependencies when they're going to like Nix packages and looking for packages as we would. Let's see how we can kind of leverage that with CI. So I think I briefly mentioned I also use task files, and I've got a video actually, I think it's coming out on Tuesday or Monday as I'm recording this, so already be out probably by the time this is recorded. I'm just recording a bunch of videos over the weekend and editing them together while I have some free time, and then slowly releasing them out. But anyways, I have a video on task files. I also leverage them myself, of course, and so what you can basically do is they're just like build runners or task runners, similar to just or make files, as you may know. I saw these in a Go4 meetup I went to, and I thought it was pretty cool, so I've started using them myself. Essentially, it's just some wrappers around commands. So rather than having to remember, I don't know, like this long command to run integration tests, I can just do task tests, and you can see the autocomplete here, integration, and it will run that for us. Some of you may be wondering, why am I not using GoTest? Why am I using this funny little runner? Mostly just because I do love about Go tooling that there's a lot of stuff built in, but I think like when tests fail, I find it quite hard to figure out which test has failed, and I think Go test sum provides a slightly nicer output. In this case, it's pretty like clear, but yeah, and it's colored as well, which is always good. So I'm playing around with Go test sum for now as a test runner. It's kind of a wrapper around Go test. Anyways, if you look at all of these arguments here, everything past this is being passed to Go test like normal. But yeah, so it's just kind of a wrap around that. But yeah, so essentially we've got these runners, we've got these tasks that we want to run, and we basically want to make sure that it's identical to what we're running in CI, or very, very similar. So when we like lint our code, we don't get any new errors, right? And so again, we get some nice little auto-completing there. Cool. So no linting issues, which is what I expect, because we're on the main branch here, and the merge request would have failed if there were linting errors. And if we kind of come over to our GitLab CI file here on the left, kind of just really roughly going through this file, the default image we're going to use is NixOS Nix for now, though lots of jobs override this, but this is just for every other job, or most of the jobs. Then we have this kind of workflow interruptible, and essentially what this means is if I push a new commit, I'm using this specifically for merge requests, but I guess it would work kind of anywhere. But if I push a new commit and there's another pipeline running, it will cancel the previous pipeline. And by default, I've made all jobs interruptible, but maybe like the deploy jobs, you don't want to interrupt them. So when you're deploying something, that's just it. Like you don't want to interrupt that. And so probably for some of those production ones, probably I will mark them as interruptible. This CI file is a work in progress, as with lots of stuff. I'm kind of just got something mostly working that makes sense, and I've got a few to-dos and a few things that I want to tidy up. And then got some variables. This is the image tag, and then we've got a CI image that we're building, and I'll do another video about how I'm building Docker images with Nix, but I don't want to do too many things in these dev vlogs, so they're already rambly enough, I'm sure. But yeah, so essentially we're just looking for this on the GitLab CI registry. If you see any variables starting with CI, those are being injected in from GitLab. So in this case, this is going to be like registry. So I think if I do like docker pull registry, yeah, so this is going to be like CI and then version 0.1.0, right? So it's going to be pulling, like, it's going to be using that image. It's a bit big, so I want to see if I can shrink that down. It's a gig, which is sizable, but I'll look at that later. It's not, a CI is not super slow at the moment, but yeah. And then essentially, if I make an update to the to how I generate my Docker image, what I'll do is I'll bump this to a different version. This will then be pointing to a different image, and this in itself will trigger a job. If the file that generates the Docker image changes, this will trigger a job, which we'll take a look at. Then we have some stages, kind of don't need to go too much here. Then we have this any task, or sorry, any CI job that starts with a dot is like a private. It's kind of it won't be run by GitLab CI. We typically will extend these in our jobs, so this is just like generic stuff. So for like all my jobs, all of my main jobs, I will want them to run only when in a merge request. We want them to leverage the cache. So, you know, we'll be caching our Go dependencies, and we also want them to be, we want to change the Go path because we can only cache stuff in the build directory. So the directory where stuff is cloned. Otherwise, you know, you would usually go and use a local, wherever the Go path default goes, you know, home and Go, I think, something like that. And as you can see, we are then using this Bantubus CI image in most of these. So anything with .task, I could maybe give it a better name, but basically anything that's going to be running in an MR is basically going to be labeled as .task. Then we have this test one, which if we look here, oh, I guess it does in the job, but this will extend the, you will extend the task and the test together, but it's essentially just exposing a bunch of variables, and essentially what we're doing is we're just collecting coverage from all of our test jobs. So, you know, unit tests, integration tests, we want to collect all the coverage together. And then similarly, when we're building Docker images, I just have this generic build Docker one, and we're using Nix to build the Docker images. Again, I'll do a more in-depth video about how that works at some point, but if we look at, I'm using NavBuddy here. I was just curious to see if it would work for a YAML file. It does. So this is what we do. By default, we have immutable tags, and essentially what that means is until GitLab adds immutable tags to their own registry, which I believe I looked at the issue and they've picked it up in the last week or so. What we do is we just check if the image already exists with this specific tag. If it does, we fail to push unless we set immutable to false, but we've set that to true in this job. So we'll take a look at when that's set true and when that's set false. But essentially we're doing Nix build, which will build our container, build our image as a tarball. We'll import that. Then we'll retag the image to whatever name we need and push it. This job might be a bit too specific, so I don't know how I've kind of abstracted it from multiple things, and it's always a bit funny when you do that, when you have like unrelated things. You know, this is building the CI image, the dev image, and the production image. But for now, it's good enough, so we'll leave that as it is. I haven't worked out how to get the Docker build working in the CI image, so we are just going to use the NixOS image, and we're going to install GoTask and Docker in there. So if we take a look at the first job, I'm not going to go in depth with all the jobs. I'm just going to show you roughly how it works, and a lot of the jobs just kind of repeat. But yeah. So what we essentially have here is we're defining a bunch of variables. So the image, and this is obviously going to be based on that tag before, the target. So this is just basically when we do Nix build. We can see here, this is the target we're going to build. So container is the normal image, which is going to have like the binary of Bantubus, and then CI is just for CI. And so this becomes our Docker runner rather than doing Docker build. And the main reason for that is just reproducibility. This is more reproducible essentially. But you can see we're not really running anything or specifying a script part. And we're also including the service, which I realized we don't need to do. So yay, we found out a bit of code we can remove. And then we're only running this on merge requests as the other one, but we will only run this when this ci.nix, which is what builds this CI image. And we'll take a look at this at some point. Changes. So we only build this when it changes, and then if I forgot to update the tag at the top here, it would fail because we have immutable tags to true, and then I'd remember, oh, I need to come and update the tag here, and then we'd push a new image, and then because this is on the pre-stage, all the subsequent jobs would be using this new image. So we're basically publishing the image before any of the other jobs use it, which does slow down CI a little bit, but I'd imagine I'm not doing that too much. Then I haven't quite got the cache working properly in my own GitLab self-hosted runners. So in theory, this job is just to download the dependencies. So we do go mod download. We override the policy so we can push from here as well. But essentially, we download the dependencies once and share it between all jobs. Again, we would only, in theory, need to run this one, go mod or go some changes. But that's something I'm going to look into and fix that later. And we can see we're extending that tasks again. That task kind of private job. And so we don't have to keep copying that between our various jobs. And I've just realized that I'm not being super consistent. It's great to realize that on a video. If you look here, I have it defined as this kind of array here. But yeah, the rest of the jobs are pretty similar. All they're doing is just doing like task lint format, just checking if anything's changed here. Generate any generated code just to make sure it's up to date. And here you can see in the tests I am extending task. Probably we should just extend it in the task bit, in the test bit itself. So if we come over here, wherever it was, I think probably we will just put dot task here. So it's great. Yeah, I'm updating stuff on the fly as we're creating this video. But yeah, and then that means we can just extend the test stuff here for these two jobs. And then we have these extra go test args that we pass, which basically just exist for setting up the JUnit and coverage stuff, so we can get you know, what lines are covered, and then we can see in the MR if the coverage has gone up or down, which added lines are covered by tests, and a few other things, which is quite nice. Then we have some end-to-end tests. This is a bit of a, how can we say, this job is really different. This runs Playwright. Again, I'll do a video about how I've set Playwright, and hopefully by then I will have got it working with Nix, but I'm using this image from this person I found. It's Debian based and it's not got the right version of Go, so I'm downloading Go as well. Then I'm running my end-to-end tests, which will be testing from like a user point of view. So we'll spin up the server and, you know, user will go to the page and click the various buttons. Again, not using my Nix setup, so it's not as reproducible, but I thought it's better to just have the end-to-end test working. Then we can see another Docker one in action. In this case, we've set the mutable tags to false. For now, what's going to happen is every time on dev, we're going to push a dev image. I've got this dev version of Banterbus running in my own Kubernetes cluster. So what we do is we've set up a Kubernetes agent in my Kubernetes cluster, and so we can access it from GitLab CI. So we can do stuff like this, and that's where my Kubernetes config lives. I'm thinking about moving the Kubernetes config to this repository, so have it per repository. But for now, I've just got this generic or this monorepo structure with all my config. And then what we do is we just force a rollout to deploy Banterbus again, and it's looking for this dev image. Maybe I should commit the SHA, the git hash, for example. But for now, I'm just doing dev, and it's good enough. Again, I'm the only one working on this project. But yeah, maybe I could make this a bit better with the SHA. You could, in theory, then make it easier to promote this image. So rather than needing to rebuild the image in production, we could like promote it. So just retag the image. But we need to do, because I squash and merge my commits, I lose the commit information. So the main branch doesn't really have any idea of what happened on the other branch. But we have like an API where we can see where a commit came from, which merge request. So in theory, we could go to the merge request, fetch the last commit, and then match that commit to a commit with the tag for the image, and then just retag that image rather than building it. Well, I'll talk a bit more about that in the production one. But yeah, so again, we're just extending Docker, so taking all the stuff and merging it. I believe with the variable stuff, it merges the variables together. But if we had like script after script before script, it would, if we had anything here like script, we would replace what was in the Docker job. But yeah, as we can see, we then deploy this. So this is all done. All of this stuff we've seen is done on a merge request. So we deploy a dev version. We can test it. We can see it's all good. In theory, I could maybe even run like some basic smoke tests against live production the live instance in dev, which could be interesting. But yeah. Then we basically move to the prod stuff. It's really similar. And I've left a little comment here saying like, this stuff is only triggered when we tag it. So typically I would like just have like a rolling release system. So anything that goes to main gets deployed. But for now, I think to begin with, I'm going to tag stuff for release. And when it's tagged for release, then we'll deploy to production. And that's kind of what we can see here with this if commit tags. And then similarly, we roll out the image in production and tell it to pull the new image. Though, of course, this one will be tagged differently because it'll have the CI tag, a commit tag on it. So I'll need to work out a way to update the image in my Kubernetes config. And I know Flux has some integrations where you can have it automatically detect image changes. And Flux is the GitOps tool I'm running on my Kubernetes cluster. So essentially it's more of like a pull model. So I make changes to that K3 config repo and Flux will pull the changes in rather than pushing out changes. And it's kind of this whole GitOps world, which I'm learning a bit more about, which I've dabbled into. But yeah, very similar, this production image. In theory, as I said, we could do some promotion, but because with the way Nix works, I'm fairly comfortable that this image is going to be immutable. So build it again. It's not the end of the world. If we want to be more efficient, then yeah, sure, we could do something else. And then finally, I have a Go release a job here, which will update stuff, release the binary and stuff. Again, don't know if I need this. Perhaps I'll change my mind and just do more of a rolling release, but I can imagine as I'm like building up features, I won't want to just release them or ad hoc. It might not necessarily make sense. It's easier to do breaking changes and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, that's basically the CI file. If we take a look at the GitLab project over here, and we go to pipelines, we can see this was the last thing run on a merge request that I have open. So this is merge request 56. So yeah, I was just doing some stuff to fix the production deploy. Not that I'm deploying to project anyways, but you can kind of see it running. You don't see the dependency job, or because I just commented that out recently, like just after this, that I'm just going to have that on always for now. And you also don't see the publish CI Docker image job because the container.ci Nix file didn't change. But yeah, you can see we've got these kind of test jobs I have, and then if they pass, we build a Docker image and then we deploy. And in theory, that should be in dev.banterbus.games, but I haven't actually checked if that deployment process is working because I've been busy with other stuff. But yeah, that's kind of CI. We can see it took 2 minutes and 18 seconds in total, which I think is pretty good. Other projects I've been involved in have taken 15-20 minutes. I'm pretty happy. I mean, this is running on my own infrastructure. This is my own CI runners, and so they are like pretty powerful, and they're not really doing loads of work all the time. It's kind of my home lab, and there's various apps running on it, but it's not like it's being hit all the time with stuff. So yeah, but that's kind of my CI setup at the moment for Banterbus and kind of how I've set it up, and hopefully you can kind of see that we've got the because of the way that Nix is working, we've kind of got the same versions of our tools available. Perhaps that bit doesn't fully make sense because you don't know how the Docker image is made, but it's made from our Nix dependencies. And so that essentially means the version of task we're using, the version of Golang CI lint should be identical. Yeah, it'd be nice to maybe get these Docker ones working in that same CI image, and definitely at least need to get this working with Nix so we don't have to do all this kind of funky stuff here. But for now, it's working. It's good enough. Iterative improvement. It is a side project as well. It doesn't have to be like perfect. It's just kind of when you find time, you fix small things. I've been tracking all these small issues in like a board. I'm using Linear at the moment. Probably worth doing a video about that as well. I really like it. I can kind of break my work down into chunks of weeks and kind of see what I want to do across the various like little projects I have ongoing. But yeah, thanks for watching that. Hopefully you found that somewhat useful. Let me know if there's a topic you want me to go into detail with. Let me know if what I explained made sense. If not, then of course I can do another one, and perhaps if this changes drastically, I'll do another video and talk about why. But this is kind of just like, as I say, very rambly, unedited, kind of something I've done, something that took me a while to do, and maybe people can get some inspiration and maybe even share some ideas of how they can improve it, or things that they've done. But yeah, cool. Thank you very much.